Port Botany bosses Patrick Terminals say the Maritime Union is holding the nation to ransom.
We're currently running at approximately 50% of our normal operating levels here in Botany, and that's simply not sustainable. We need to resolve this. 10
cargo ships are gridlocked off the coast of Sydney, and others have been diverted to Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth.
I'm told there's some 90,000 containers out there. That includes medical supplies. We're in the middle of a COVID recession and there's supplies on ships that need to come ashore. It's extortion and I won't put up with it.
But the union wants 6% more pay for its workers per year for 4 years, and it's going to strike to get it.
We've repeatedly requested on a number of occasions to Patrick's to sit down with us, have a ceasefire, and they've rejected it.
I've had major importers and exporters phoning me up 24 hours a day. They're demanding an end to this.
Patrick and the Maritime Union have a bruising history. Their 1998 waterfront dispute among Australia's most bitter industrial action. Back then, the company sacked all its union workers for cheaper labour. Guard dogs and masked men were brought in to remove union workers. It's history no one wants repeated, but for now, no one is backing down.
We cannot have the militant end of the union movement effectively engaging in a campaign of extortion against the Australian people. I mean, this is just extraordinary, appalling behaviour.
Well, Paul McAleer is the Sydney branch secretary of the Maritime Union of Australia and he joins us now. Paul, the PM has refused to rule out using the military to end the delays at Patrick's. What's your response?
Well, that's the first time I've heard that one. He is obviously suffering from a crisis of hyperbole here. He's got his mates in the Fair Work Commission and his bosses down at Patrick's trying to stoke fear in the community about what we're doing and what we're not doing, and now by bringing in the military, I mean, how ridiculous is this story going to get?
He is questioning the timing of it, though. He says, given everything that's going on at the moment, that it's insulting to be doing it right now.
Back in May of this year, well before the enterprise agreement expired by a month or two, we put an offer to Patrick's, recognising the situation that we were all facing in this country and around the world, recognising that there was a great deal of uncertainty in the economy, and we said, look, we're prepared to roll over the enterprise agreement with a 2.5% wage increase. And Patrick's rejected that offer, and they've since been scurrying to try and attempt to portray us as deniers of medicine and presents and all sorts of different things and killing our farmers. It's just a massive beat up, one that I haven't seen in my working life. But other generations of workers probably experience those same sorts of stoking of fears.
So even though we're in a current climate where people, have lost their jobs or are having their hours, their days, reduced, forget the fact that you guys are sitting at a 2.5 and you're trying to reach an agreement. Do you believe now is the time to be getting any kind of pay rise in the current climate?
You've got to remember that this is an extraordinarily successful company on the backs of workers working around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's absolutely the case that there is a wage increase that's sustainable, that the business can afford it. There is nothing to suggest anywhere that we don't deserve an enterprise agreement that's fair and just. We support workers all throughout the country. We're in an industry that opposes overtime. We believe overtime is unemployed workers' wages. We'd rather more people employed so that they can have access to jobs.
Patrick's has estimated that these delays are costing about $165 million in imports and $67 million of exports a day. That's the last thing our economy needs right now, isn't it?
These facts cannot stand up in any court around the country. We know for a fact that this is not happening on the waterfront. We know for a fact that these losses aren't being sustained by any company or by the Australian economy. This is just made-up nonsense in order for ScoMo to protect his mates down at Patrick's who are union bashers. That's all it is. And they're making up incredible numbers to try and sustain an argument that we're in the wrong when we're not.
What is your number then?
We don't have those numbers because we don't have access to them, for one. But I can tell you this, there hasn't been a single vessel that hasn't arrived in Australia to be stevedored by wharfies because of this action. It just hasn't happened. All of these vessels are on a big bus timetable, basically, around the world. And to think that we have access and control over global stevedoring is ridiculous. I'd love to have that capacity and leverage, but we just don't.
But it sounds like what you're saying is it costs basically nothing, which seems a very strange way to have industrial action. We're going to strike, it's going to cost you absolutely nothing, but could you please give us what we're asking for anyway?
No, we're not saying that. We understand that there have been delays as a consequence of our overtime and extension bans, but they're minor delays that might put a vessel off its schedule by a few hours. We've only had one stoppage of 4 hours in the last 3 weeks. That doesn't warrant us having our industrial action suspended or terminated. One 4-hour stoppage can't create a 4-week delay in global shipping.
So, Paul, just to be clear, so there aren't 10 cargo ships currently gridlocked off the coast of Sydney and a whole heap haven't been diverted to Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth?
There's no medicine being stopped. There's no agricultural products being stopped. We're performing all of our work except overtime and extensions, which will have minor delays for vessels arriving at Port Botany.
All right, Paul, we'll be watching to see how this is all resolved. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.